Individualized Arts. He has 2 senior exhibitions. One he's doing this semester, which is his first major in sculpture, and then next semester he will have another show for Juvenile Arts.
Yes.
TJ.
So, as you heard, I'm TJ Parker. I really have been into special effects. Is where I started out in high school, of just playing around with latex and silicone and having a lot of fun in kind of doing theatrical works. During my time in high school, I did about 15 productions, mostly doing the makeup for all of them. And then coming to CCA, I kind of wanted to start thinking about everything that I wanted to say, and I realized that I'm really a surrealist at kind of my core. The title of the show is Proceed with Caution, Recall with Care. And what I was thinking of is kind of my future of kind of this foggy future where I'd like to proceed with caution. And then also kind of, while I'm doing that, making sure that I am also looking back and being introspective and paying homage to all that's already happened. I take a lot of influences from a lot of different people. I looked at a lot of the classic surrealists. And I kind of think I'd like to just give a bit of a guided tour of starting at the door. I built this as a fully interactive experience. I have kind of a set of rules, but to me, the door came to me kind of halfway through the semester of needing a portal and needing a threshold for you to enter my space. A lot of my work is based on research as well, and there's a lot of documented research on basically the effects that happen to your brain when you walk through a door. You will forget what you were thinking about. If you ever walk into a room and you're like, why did I come in here? And then you walk back into the other room and you're like, I need my phone charger. That's a scientifically documented effect that happens. And I think walking through thresholds really preps your brain to experience novel things, and that's what I was aiming to do. And throughout this experience as well, I really wanted to reward the people who will treat this as novel and to really look at all the details and appreciate the Easter eggs. So things like looking through all the peepholes and looking in the keyhole, having fun with the ringer in the mailbox. Just all of those things to me were very important to having fun with the space, not treating it with lots of pedestals or whatever, holding it above itself. I just wanted people to kind of come in here and have fun. And it was great, just before we came over here, that family was over here and the kids were sitting down, they were playing on the keyboard and they were moving the mouse, and I was that really kind of touched my heart. So I also played a lot, I focus with form. I kind of work with 2 different kinds of form. I work with 1, the form of the body, and 2, the form of the object. When I work with the form of the body, I tend to be talking about my relation to my family. I think whatever our bodies are related a lot to our families, and so we share a lot of the same health things, and we have kind of similar experiences in our bodies. And then with objects, I think there's so much that you can do to make the object feel as if what it actually is to interact with it. So I think keyboards and mice are the weirdest things in the world. They're these boards of glyphs that somehow we can make do what we want without even looking at them. And we've come to accept that so easily. And I think it's putting a spotlight on that that can really highlight just how crazy this interaction is. The cup on the desk, one of my favorite surrealists is Murray Oppenheim, who did Object back in the 1910s. It's that fur-lined cup, which was really kind of one of my pivotal experiences in one of my early art history classes, was seeing that and thinking, using material to make ordinary objects can really transform your message. The Pills for me is talking a lot about how I grew up in Indiana and Kentucky and Tennessee, some in Ohio, and there's a big pill culture in kind of the southern Midwest, and translating kind of that classic surrealist object into my own rendition of it just felt really natural to me. The computer is this just like Apple corrupt god of whatever obsolescence and how much tech influences and affects and permeates our life and is becoming our skin and bones that kind of we rely on. And then, of course, whatever, having more Easter eggs in the cabinet. The top is full of remotes. It's just me thinking about control and how people hide control, how much control there is. I think remote controls are really loaded just like keyboards. And then I have a little demon in my closet, which I think is kind of me just being funny and referencing all these little secrets we hold. Going back to the body, for me, this was me really thinking about proceeding with caution. The legs to me are really talking about the future. So as the legs continue on to the right, you kind of get these muddier and muddier feet, these dirtier and dirtier pants. And it's me kind of entering this uncertain future where I don't really know what's going to happen. And that leads into the mirror as well, where you can see yourself, but in this very distorted, dusty, not so clear version. Leading into the guts is me kind of, again, thinking about my family through the use of body. My mom's side of the family, all the women, my sister, my mom, my grandma, have all had issues with anxiety and with our basically like intestinal issues. And the title for this piece is actually something along the lines of like laying on the ground of a dollar store bathroom, because that's a situation that everybody has been in that family, because it feels like your guts are getting ripped out of you, and I want to make that visceral experience real. The deer is just me kind of relating to the animals that I grew up around, and the deer as this kind of sacrificial thing that gets hit by all these cars, but is also this sad and growing object. The horns aren't yet formed, but it's just starting to kind of figure out where it is in the world. The painting was again me thinking about everything that's gone on, recalling with care. It was a painting originally of John 3:16, and so it was a Bible and a glass of milk and a lantern, and during the opening of my show, over the course of about 20 minutes, I melted it off the wall, which was a big process of ensuring that the heater in here was safe and making sure all that functioned well. And it was just a really beautiful experience to kind of have that fall to the ground, and then also interact with this carpet, which to me is talking about over my sense of space, and also this just like culture that runs through us, through these veins of taking new tufted carpet as well as old inserted rugs and creating this new thing. I mean, there's so many pieces in here. I'm sure I could go on forever. What time are we at?
9 minutes.
9 minutes. We're doing perfect. Yeah. Genuinely, in my little thing, there's 15 pieces that I talk about. That's unifying the body into one piece. That's unifying the door into one piece. This to me was about making such a sense of place and cornering it and lighting it properly and really trying to make an experience that people could interact with and immerse themselves into. The fan, which unfortunately has been on, is another thing that relates to all of my mom's side of the family. So the fan, right now at my home, I have a box fan on, even though I'm not there. I know my sister, who's currently living in London, has a box fan on in her room. I know that my mom in Tennessee has a box fan on in her room. at least one box fan on it. It is this just generational thing of this comforting noise and this sense of breath and air that I wanted to communicate by distorting the grate and actually making the entire box fan myself. It's all constructed by me except for the motor. Kind of just recalling all the memories I have of like running out to Walmart in the middle of the night to pick up a box fan because you went to a hotel and they didn't have one, and none of us can sleep unless there's a box fan on. Like, you have to have it. So all these little elements to me just combine to this narrative experience where I want people to come at it with all their own history. I've heard people come in and say that this is the computer that they had from their childhood, and because this is the computer I had from my childhood. And that these rugs remind them of the runners all throughout their house, and that they had similar doormats and mirrors and paintings all around. And I'm just wanting kind of everybody to come in and really interact with the space, kind of the totality of their being. So that's roughly what's going on here.
Any question? Go ahead.
So,
Angel?
not a question, but I think you need to know this. So, throughout the semester, I've been like, dude, DJ's like such a weird inspiration for me. Like, I don't know why. Out of nowhere, like I started watching like The Thing, and then
Yes.
I love The Thing, and I was like, oh my god.
I watched it a few times this semester too.
I know. And I was talking to people the other day, and I was like, yeah, like DJ's so good at what he does, and it's so different. And he's like a weird inspiration for me that I didn't ever see coming. And everyone's like, me too.
Oh, that means so
Like
much.
there's like 5 other people that were like, DJ's amazing. So yeah, you need to know that.
Thank you so much.
That you are kind of the talk of the town right now. I've been hearing people be like, did you see what realistic body made? Yeah, it's so cool.
I think something that's so striking about your work is obviously it's weird and surrealist and fun and funky, but it's like so well constructed with so much precision. Like I was looking at your house and the fan, I don't even understand how you did that all so cleanly and professionally. So I think that's one of the most striking things about it.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's like, of course I'm here to learn all the technical things, but like ultimately I really want to talk about these subjects that like are really near and dear to me, and I hope that are near and dear to other people and that they've experienced. I think we have such a capability here to like communicate with others through all this crazy making.
Yeah, I'm just, this was a beautiful piece. I think one of the things that stuck to me the most, or that just reminded me of the wires and the back, where it looks like such a fire hazard, at the same time it reminds me of home, right? Like, I know if I look underneath like my granddad's desk, it looks exactly like that. One of the questions that I had was, what did the weathering process look like for the Jordan mats? How did you go about that?
Yeah. So I do all my weathering with floral spray paint. It's kind of an acetone-based spray paint. It's by Design Master. And so it's this really kind of sloppy process of using these rattle cans, but like sometimes spraying directly on the door, but a lot of the time spraying into cups and diluting it with acetone and just like slinging it. Thankfully, whenever I wear full protection, and we have an amazing ventilation room for like painting with acetone, which can be a little harmful. And that's the same thing that the floor was painted with. So the floor was just linoleum flooring that I had got from Home Depot at a really good discount. And then sanded down and painted with the same thing that the doormat, the door, and the floor, of spraying to create a bit of a gradient, but also kind of, who's the guy who sloshes on the paint? Colic. It's a very colicky thing of like, I'll have all these cups, like see, that's me like slinging at the door and like trying to create this sense of like dripping out of the mailbox and dripping out of these individual handles. Some of the drips are curated though, of going in individually and really making sure that it's dripping just right.
Talk about your latex work.
Surprisingly, so the only thing in here that's latex are these like tissue type things on this. The rest is all silicone, for the most part, which for me has been whatever. Silicone is just a much kind of a bit cleaner. It's not ammonia based like latex, and so it's whatever, you can work with it relatively cleanly. The painting method for it is a little bit difficult because the only thing that will stick to silicone is silicone. So all of the legs and hands and guts and stuff are all airbrushed by thinning down silicone and adding oil paints, as well as the like freckles and everything are flecked on, kind of like how I do the door, but with a really tiny brush.
Did you have to disembowel a friend to get all these details right?
This piece started off as a life cast of my friend Tommy's chest, and then so just a regular chest that I then cast in plaster and with an angle grinder carved into his guts, and then sculpted in with oil clay all of the viscera and tears and everything. Made a second mold of that, recast that in silicone, back that with an epoxy backing. All these things are like massive processes, but I'm so in love with them, and like the end result though for me is always like, what can I say with this imagery? So, yeah. This is for me was thinking of this show kind of as an introspective. There's the one main peephole looking out. All the peepholes all over the place is kind of me thinking about, I kind of thought of it almost as like the different heights I've been over the ages of like seeing this space on all these different levels, and you get a really different perspective based on which one you're at. And then you're seeing into the room. And so it's whatever, me kind of looking inward on myself for this show, but hopefully like looking inward on a lot of our experiences of home.
This feels like a time virus come in and like take a screenshot and that'd be like a minute in a fight. Like everything's going around. My equal question is, what is the memorable thing that you listen to while making one of these pieces?
I listened to all of Chromacopia this semester like 15 times. Thought I Was Dead, mostly, like non-stop. Like, I'm sure if you were here at like 2 in the morning around some of the chemical rooms, you would probably hear me saying like, "You don't want to go to war with a soldier." Because I would just sing that and be like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, and then all the new Kendrick album just recently, like, I was like, "Oh, the final kick to get me through to the end of the semester." Yeah.
I have a comment and then a question. It was wonderful to watch you work in the same studio. It's so fun to see everything come together. My question is that, do you have like a family with your jewelry practice?
Mhm.
Do you find yourself thinking about the same things and topics when you work in that, or is it a separate?
Yeah. It was really nice actually splitting my major into 2, because for my like junior review, everybody had always pushed me to combine my sculpture and my jewelry practice. That they were one thing, that I couldn't separate them, that they were really this one thing. And I do say different things with my jewelry. The topics overlap, but a lot of times with my jewelry, I'm talking about very kind of different elements and different focuses. I mean, I always come back to animals as like a main topic. That kind of is my through line in jewelry, but I kind of say different things than I do with my sculpture. So that, I will have my jewelry show here next semester. So we gotta figure all that out. And it's gonna be totally different though. It's gonna be me saying new things.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
That's great. Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much.